To order this meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission, 5:05 p.m. on November 19th, 2020. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Castillo? No. Ms. Bailen?
Ms. Bailen's no longer on the commission, so just for your notes.
My apologies. No. Ms. Chisel?
Here.
Ms. Grayling?
Here, and Miss Chisel's name is pronounced Chisel.
Chisel,
Thank you so much.
Please do correct me anytime, please. So Chisel, Grayling was correct?
Yes.
Okay. Help me again. Mr. Charnett?
You nailed it.
Awesome. And Mr. Koos?
Yes.
Chairperson Klein?
Yes, go ahead, George.
I just wanted to get clear as how many do we have now?
We're up to 5 now, so we're in good shape. So we'll have 4 voters.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds
So
good. Thanks.
point is mute. Thank you, though. Okay. So just as I have called the meeting to order, we have a quorum present. Just a reminder that we're conducting this meeting digitally in conjunction with the COVID-19 measures instituted by our governor. So all public comment and discussion will be happening in a digital format. But do we have any public comment that's off of the agenda? Okay. So could we do the minutes, consideration and check of the minutes?
Well, I found one thing, and so that was it. And it was on page 5, and under the BHP 2420, where it talks about consideration, review, and action, the federal and Queen Anne elements. Queen Anne should not be hyphenated. That's all I found. Miss Giselle, do you want to do something?
I found nothing.
I actually have Autobomb is OTTO space BAUM.
Oh, wow.
Where is that? Where is that?
Thank you, because I think I did Autobahn, like the train in Germany.
Oh.
It's still German, but just a little bit different. That's
I see it.
That's the only one that I kept seeing
Okay,
throughout.
I
but
didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
Just that. Where's that at, Paul?
Page 3, second to last paragraph.
And sorry, how is it actually spelled?
Yeah, OTTO space BAUM.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and there's a few of them on there. Just wherever Autobomb, you should be able to just hit find replace. It's done.
Yep. Great.
Any other corrections or concerns?
I make a motion that we accept these minutes as corrected.
I second.
Okay, thank you. We have a roll call, please.
Mr. Castillo?
Still not present.
Still not present. Ms. Giselle?
Yes.
Ms. Grayling?
Yes.
Mr. Charnett?
Yes.
Mr. Koos?
Abstain.
Chairperson Klein?
Yes. Okay, so thank you so much for that. So we'll move on to our regular agenda. Our first case is BHP 2819, public hearing, review, and action on a petition submitted by the Franklin Park Foundation for the nomination and designation of the State Farm Building at 112 East Washington Street, circa 1925 to 1947. Schaefer and Hooten Architects contributing D2 Downtown Transitional District to D2 with the S4 Historic District zoning overlay. So if I believe that Mr. Maurer, yes, sir. Mr. Koos.
Yes, I will recuse myself from this discussion. I'm going to remove my image here and then come back when you're completed, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so staff, if you could get Mr. Maurer on the screen, please. Or his representative. Okay. Can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, George, if we're just going to be talking about a continuance, do I need to swear him in?
I think just if he's going to talk, if he's going to request something, no, but if there's facts being represented, then yes. So why don't you do that and be on the safe side?
Okay. Okay.
And
So,
one other thought, is Mr. Orduno or some representative for Urban Equity Properties on the call or present?
no, sir.
Okay. Well, they had notice, is that correct? I mean, everybody they're on with this?
Katie, were they given notice?
They weren't notified about the meeting, but they were also included on those emails that were passed
Right.
along between.
I understand. Yeah, I didn't mean formal notice necessarily. I just meant, and I know we talked about it at the last meeting and, meetings where they were present. So, okay.
All right. So sorry for the delay there, Mr. Maurer. So if you could raise your right hand, you know the routine. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. If you just introduce yourself for the audience.
My name is Tim Maurer. I represent the Franklin Park Foundation, the petitioner. I have Mr. Dave Walkner with me here sitting in today also.
Okay. All right. So I assume from the emails I received that you will be asking for an additional 1 month continuance on this
That's
hearing.
correct. And the additional information I would provide is that I did get an email from Jeff Orduno today. Perhaps Katie, you've seen that, I don't know. He said it makes sense and he's in favor of the 1 month delay as well.
Okay.
The only additional comment I'd offer is that the preceding month has yielded a great deal of interesting information, I think, that will be useful to the commission in their understanding and hearing on this in the future. There's National Park Service material, there's material from the city of Bloomington, there's material from the prior owner, and there's material from the architectural engineering firm that did the certified rehabilitation. So it's a really nice package of information. Should all be in hand for in plenty of time to make the packet for the December meeting. And I think it will facilitate your deliberations.
Okay.
So we
Thank
would
you.
respectfully request a 1 month extension to the hearing.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I'll have the commission, vote on that continuance, but I just want to sort of, for the record, so that you know, and for my own encouragement to you, that the December meeting should be the meeting that we have this hearing finally. Our initial agreement for continuance was for a 45-day continuance, and that was a very long time ago. And one of the kind of the statutory parts of that was that we had all parties in agreement. And as of tonight, at the end of this meeting, half of the commission will have changed. So I can't necessarily guarantee you that the entire commission will be in agreement. So this is just my own kind of verbal hope that we can actually move forward in 30 days so that we don't continue to have, or we don't run up against some concerns having to do with the longevity of this process. So that's just for me as my last meeting. We're going to now have 50% of a new commission as of the December meeting. So you may have a different opinion, perhaps. So
Duly noted, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So
and good luck in your new endeavors.
Thank you so much. So do I have anybody have any questions for the petitioner before we make a decision concerning the continuance?
No questions. I just want to concur with our chairperson. We need to get this moving on. I'm an oldie, so I've been with it all the time, so.
It has been some time, and I certainly also echo those sentiments. We've been here and been dealing with this for quite a while. We certainly have strong feelings about this particular building. It certainly is an important landmark in our community. However, we really need to have this discussion formally and finally. And I certainly appreciate everybody on the commission's patience, the city's patience. Mr. Maurer, I appreciate your input. And Urban Equity Properties patience on all of this as we get it resolved. But let's bring it to a close. Let there be a capstone in December. Hallelujah and amen.
Here, here.
Agree with you, Paul.
Yeah. Make it our Christmas present, right?
Yeah.
Would anybody have a motion to approve that continuance?
I make a motion that we approve the continuance of case BHP 2819 to our next meeting.
I second.
And
Sorry, Paul.
December 16th is the date for the record. 17th. Katie's changing her mind. 17th, December 17th for the record. Okay, so can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Ms. Chazelle,
Yes.
Ms. Grayling,
Yes.
Mr. Charnett,
Yes.
and Chairperson Klein.
Yes. Okay, so the continuance is granted, and we will see you next month, Mr. Maurer. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so let's move on to our next item, which is a discussion, review, and action on the Rust Grant Guidelines, amended language for accessible accommodations. This was continued from our last meeting in order to give staff time to make the changes and corrections that we had suggested. I myself have read through it. I think it actually reads very well. I don't know how other people feel.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Greg.
Question on this. I understand this is for one section, but as I was reviewing it, there are some errors dealing with Harriet Rust's role with the Museum of History. And I would also like to know what would be the process for the group to look at a amendment on the map.
Amendment on the map?
Yes.
I think we could do those in two separate items. So, Mr. Koos, do you have like proposed amendments for the text for the background on?
I've got my notes in a way that would make sense for. It would start with the sentence where it says, or the line, Mrs. Rust's can-do spirit was seen in the aftermath of a fire that damaged the McLean County Historical Society in 1972 and participated in raising $320,000, and strike the phrase to get the museum back on its feet, and insert the phrase to develop a new museum facility.
Sounds good.
Okay, and then as board president, she accomplished, strike the word accomplished and insert the word supported. Library material restoration, strike the word restoration and insert the word preservation.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I'm making changes as you're speaking.
Okay.
I've got it.
Strike, okay, where it says supported library material restoration program, strike the word restoration, insert the word preservation. The next line, strike expanded the museum size and acquired a 30-year lease on, strike that. And insert led the museum into national accreditation and supported the project to convert the old courthouse building.
Could you read that last bit again, sir?
Okay.
Led the museum into national accreditation.
Yes. And supported the project to convert the old courthouse building. And the rest of that can stay.
Okay, is that the extent of it?
In terms of the text, yes.
Yes. Okay, good. I would consider that a friendly change. Everyone else as well, or?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would only change one letter in there, and that's LED instead of LEAD. Other than that,
Yeah.
I think we are. I really appreciate that information.
Yes, thank you. Okay, were there any other concerns or
Well, the map.
So
on the
I
map?
would like to.
I meant text-wise, just for a second, for the
no,
text. Yeah.
not text-wise, no.
Get to the map. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to just talk briefly for a second about the change that Katie and I talked about. The permanent exterior accommodation is needed to enhance the accessible means of egress. That's on page 3 of this. And the point of using this specific language is that accessible means of egress has to touch the building. So it's something that we struggle with a lot on exteriors and that sort of thing. So the idea is we're not going and improving a parking lot. But for instance, downtown where you might have an issue with a ramp or something, we can assist with that to try and do it in a historic way, in an appropriate way. So the other part of this is that accessible means of egress is very specifically defined by building codes. And so we have to have a minimum number of accessible means of egress for each building. It's 50%. And so there are a lot of buildings that have already kind of been brought up to this, but I have experience with plenty of places where there are some challenges in addressing it from the exterior or from the interior or a combination thereof. I could show you the library in Chenoa and new building, but a historic sidewalk. Historic sidewalk, right? No, well, they used to have the horses pull up there and the sidewalks were still positioned as such. So very, very low to the ground, never built up the street accordingly, and it messes with everybody. Creates a nightmare for accessibility. Anyway, I bring that all up just to say we reference this language very specifically to address that from an accessibility standpoint and building code standpoint. And this is something that's so well defined, we just don't have to get into a whole lot of detail about, well, how far do we can always look that up and I can give you something specific from the building code. Easy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. The exact wording is perfect, I think. Any other text discussions or additions or changes? Okay, so let's move to the map then, because we can approve it all together and as one. So Mr. Koos, your map concern?
There are historic buildings, 3 that are north of Locust Street that could benefit from the programs that or actually 4 that are north of Locust Street. And so I'm going to call the buildings out, and then we could talk about the boundary to accommodate those. On Main Street, would be I want to say the 800 block of North Main. I could be wrong. It's on Locust, it would be the northwest corner of Locust and Main. On the northwest corner is a George Miller residential structure, Richardsonian Romanesque, Holy Trinity Rectory, which is on the National Register of Historic Places. Immediately north of that is Holy Trinity Church, a 1933 Arthur Moratz building, which is also on the National Register of Historic Places and is one of a handful of known Art Deco churches in the United States. Okay, across the street from those is a circa 1855 Italianate house that is sandwiched in between 2 parking lots. I believe it's a Hayes and Evans construction. I could get more into that if I could research that. It had been well restored in the 1950s. I actually think it may have been the first house restoration our community saw. The Cook family did that. go up to the next corner, corner of Main Street and Chestnut, northwest corner. Quinn Brothers Gas Station is a 1940/1970 Texaco style gas station. Quinn Brothers are on the Route 66 Hall of Fame, and so that they are recognized as that's a recognized historic Route 66 site. And then across from that is the at the corner of what used to be East Street and Chestnut is the Mennonite Hospital Nurses Quarters. I think that is, I haven't proved it yet, but I think that is a Lundin, not a Lundin, a Schaefer, Houghton and Lundin building, about 1935. It's an Art Deco nurses structure. So there's those structures are of value, historic and architectural value to our community. And I want to see the boundaries of the district adjusted to reflect the presence of those buildings. And they are clearly part of the central business district, as much as some of the nodule that was created to where the Lafayette apartments are.
All right, so are you suggesting moving the boundary north to Walnut, so keeping it on north center kind of, are you thinking about bringing it in and then up a little bit, right? So not so much bringing in the Faith Baptist Church area, the residential area on either side, but moving it north.
I was thinking
center
of,
part.
Yeah, move it, looking at it from going east to Walnut.
East to Walnut.
And then Walnut to center. Center
You mean
to
north
Chestnut.
to Walnut? You mean north to Walnut?
Yeah, north to
Yeah,
Walnut.
okay. North to Walnut.
Then west to center.
Okay.
Then south to Chestnut.
Right.
And west to Roosevelt. And then south to Locust.
Okay. So that's really kind of.
Excuse me, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say that's really kind of precisely drawing around those historic buildings and not bringing in external domestic, domestic architecture.
Right.
When we were doing the map, I have to describe that I did not go over that particular exhibit today. Are you talking about actually changing a zoning?
No.
No, this would.
Simply.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted.
No, it's not. It doesn't change the zoning, but it changes the kind of general plan or target area for use
That grant?
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't guarantee anyone in that target area funding, but
It just says that this may be eligible. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Well,
to
you
cut
can
off.
also be eligible if the building is S4 outside of the target area, but this sort of enhances our discussion about structures.
Well,
Yeah,
so-
I just didn't want to be conferring S4 status on.
No. Yeah,
Places
this
that
won't
weren't.
do that.
I just want to clarify too that this is the RUST grant, which is the Central Business District. The S4 is the FUNC grant, which is a separate grant and separate criteria. So having S4 does not make you eligible for the RUST grant.
No, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I kind of wonder if maybe we don't want to look at some of the buildings on the east and west side as well. I mean, if like the high school here is a potential candidate.
Oh, yeah.
There may be some other ones that I'm not aware of that Mr. Koos may know, but is this something that we want to bring back for December, looking at the specific map and move forward with the text, since you've been looking at the text?
Yeah. So if I could ask Mr. Sorry. Okay. If I could ask Mr. Koos, would you mind if we passed or made a vote on the text of the code having to do with the grants? Would you mind working with city staff over the intervening weeks to kind of map this out exactly, and then kind of come forward with a proposal next time?
I think that's an excellent idea.
Is that okay? Because we don't, if we're going to expand it, we might as well make sure that we don't leave out like the high school and others, because that your proposal would bring in also, I think it's a BCPA already in it. Yeah. It
Yeah,
is.
it's
Okay.
south
So
of
the
Locust.
Arts Center. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking at my Google Maps at the same time because this map I can't quite handle.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty difficult to read. Well, and I'm also looking at some of the buildings just beyond the boundary. I think, for instance, 300 East Monroe, which is the school there on the corner.
Mhm.
I mean, you're really touching right around that, but it's actually a very beautiful building.
Mhm.
So there are definitely some pieces that I think we could discuss and bring to the table. Would love. Is this something where it'd be good to have a subcommittee just sort of roll this thing out pretty quickly? We can sit down and meet and go through and say, we think that we should also look at these target areas and move forward from that.
If you would like that, future chair. It's up to
Greg,
you. I mean,
Greg, maybe you're the best person to do it. Maybe it's just you're doing it and you're happy with it. I don't know.
I would like to work with city staff on it.
Okay, so
Could we see about maybe, giving your ideas to city staff and having us come back with something that might
yeah, I think the
reduce,
members
say,
of
open
the,
meeting requirements and so on, and we can come back and have a discussion
sure,
at the next meeting.
I think we kind of should designate Greg as the kind of chief person to work with city staff, but if any members of the commission have input that they think a building, should just send that to Katie and then she will know. Very likely Greg will have already thought of it, but just so that something doesn't get left out. Yeah. And then you can come with the proposal next time and then y'all can discuss whatever.
Hey, that sounds excellent.
Does that sound okay? Okay, thank you so much for that, Greg. I learn so much every time you're here, and so I'm really sad that I'm leaving now that you're coming, because I go to school every time I hear you speak. So how does everybody feel about the text? Are we ready to move forward with the text as amended today?
I would make a motion to approve the text as amended.
I second that.
Okay, could we get a roll call, Kim?
Certainly, Ms. Giselle,
Yes.
Ms. Grayling,
Yes.
Mr. Charnett,
Yes.
Mr. Koos,
Koos, yes.
and Chairperson Klein.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So the text has been passed, and we'll get to map drawing next time. Right. Forgive me, I'm sorry, flopping paper around. So old business, we don't have anything listed. Is there anything that's lingering from old business that we might, I would say, I was thinking today that there were quite a few, COVID really scrambled everything, but there were quite a few working groups that had been assigned long before, having to do like with the steam plant and other things that I wonder if we could just make sure that we're not abandoning work in those regards. I don't know. I'm sure George could tell us. I'm sure that stuff has moved on in terms of legal having to do with the ownership of the former steam plant. Yes, yay or nay, but something certainly has happened.
I could describe what's a little bit about the situation with respect to the steam plant, if you'd like, in terms of the court actions and so on.
Sure.
So there are two court actions. One is a case that is involved with enforcement of the administrative court judgment. There's an administrative court judgment dealing with the conditions of the building that resulted in a default judgment in the amount of $51,000 and a lien being placed on the property. The second aspect of that was that the building was to be repaired or demolished. The owner did move towards demolition. As you know, the committee then had a hearing as a result of our demolition, or you might call it anti-demolition or slowed demolition process. the building was found to be historically significant. Since that time, there have been some attempts to reach out to various groups in the community, and I would encourage folks, if you know people who may be interested in getting involved, to decide about whether this is something that, and Katie can go into more specifics and possibilities, but as to whether this could become some kind of trail amenity, whether there'd be other foundations or places that would run it, or with some assistance from the city and how that would be dealt with. Paul had pointed out that given the history of the building, there's very likely a possibility, the history that is of it being a storage plant for coal for 30 to 40 years or more, that there very may be environmental concerns. We're speaking with the owner about potentially getting a phase 2 environmental study done and giving the owner some credit towards the judgment for that potentially. So we're in some negotiations to see about moving forward on that, because I think whatever happens with that building in terms of ownership and or demolition or anything like that is going to be affected by what the environmental concerns turn out to be.
And I can add a little bit to that, George, too. I sent Katie some information. There are some grants available potentially for restoring the site if it is, in fact, environmentally a problem. So there may be some ways to redevelop and or use what's there in a way that is still sensitive to the original construction.
Good. Greg, did you have your hand up, or was that a hangover?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Was there any asbestos found? Has there been any investigation of asbestos in the building?
I think there was an investigation with respect to asbestos that was produced for the original permit application, and they reported no asbestos. But they didn't do anything more extensive with respect to the coal environmental potential impacts.
All right. Well, thank you for that update. I hope that if there are further things that the commission can do, you'll let us know, because I know.
Is it and Paul, you had brought up about and I can talk to you about this. Maybe I should just give you a call about it, but I'd be interested in seeing how we want to proceed towards getting good environmental information and potentially maybe those grants. I'll contact you.
Yeah, perfect. Glad to help.
But for now, nothing is an imminent change. Nothing's risking imminent change.
Right.
Okay,
I mean, we're moving along in the courts and negotiations, and then trying to make keep the building at least from deteriorating further, and seeing what we can do. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for that.
Sure.
Anybody have any other old business that I'm forgetting?
I have an update just on the preservation plan. We sent out earlier this month, we sent out a link to the State of the City, which is the first phase of the plan. It's kind of the existing conditions. That document's also online on the plan website. And in conversations with our consultants, they will be returning to Bloomington to do some more reconnaissance and field work, just to make sure that identify areas for future surveys and possible districts. And then they anticipate having another draft of the goals and objectives and kind of the second phase of the plan in January. So we're still moving forward with that. And if anybody on the commission has any comments they'd like to send me about the State of the City draft, please do so. I will pass those along.
Okay. Anybody else? So we'll move on to new business. We have a lot of introductions and things to do today. So the first is, before we get to those, is the review and action on the 2021 meeting dates. You all had a proposal for those dates in your packet. Does anybody see any potential concerns or issues? Okay. Do we need to actually vote on those? Okay.
I don't know that it's required. May not hurt, though, if you don't mind to do it with a motion, As long
I
as
don't
people,
mind.
because we are going to publish those as meeting dates under the Open Meetings Act.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion about these dates?
I move that we accept the dates as included in the packet for our proposed meeting dates for 2021.
I second that.
Thank
I'm
you,
sorry.
Sherry.
I would have done that, but
I just want to, before we go forward, before you accept the second, I noticed a typo. At the bottom, it's 11/18, 2020, 12/16,
Yeah.
2020. So they need to be, unless, I mean, 2020 doesn't feel like it ever wants to end, but let's not ask it to come back at the end of next year.
And November is in there twice.
yes, it is.
I guess just
November
because
is-
it's a historic commission, you don't want to go backwards. I mean, we want to
Yeah.
move ahead.
Where is November in there twice?
No,
Well,
that's just submitted by
Submit
them
by.
meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
You got it? Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so Sherry, do you want to approve as amended?
I do. I want to approve the list of meeting dates for 2021 as amended.
Second.
Is the 12/16 supposed to be 12/16/2020 or 12/16/2021?
21, we fixed the 11/18, 2021 and 12/16, 2021. The bottom row both needed adjustment.
Right. Those were our amendments.
Yeah. Okay, everybody feel okay to vote? We're clear? Okay.
Ms.
We do our roll
Giselle.
call.
Ms.
Oh, sorry.
Giselle. Sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Grayling.
Yes.
Mr. Charnett.
Yes.
Mr. Koos.
Yes.
Chairperson Klein.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So we've got your marching orders for next year. So I will have the great pleasure to introduce Greg Koos and give him a chance to talk about himself. I think we all know you, but we want to hear about you a little bit more and welcome you to the commission.
Thank you. I've been doing local history in McLean County since 1977 and have been involved in numerous historic site nominations and historic district nominations. On the hammer and chisel side, I am not a crafts person by any means, but by working with excellent craftspeople, I've been deeply involved in the restoration and preservation of 8 different historic structures, 2 of them personal residences, and remaining residential structures. 2 of them have received national awards. The Miller Davis building on the corner of Front and Main was recognized with a national award, as well as the conversion of the old courthouse into a museum was recognized that way. I was actually the first chair of this commission. Things have changed for the better in many ways, and there's some other aspects of kind of the human end that we've kind of lost to technology and to COVID and whatnot. Currently, I am working on a book which is titled Freedom, Land, and Community, McLean County, 1732 to 1900, which is a massive survey of our community history. What has made this different from most of these kinds of things is that it is based on current scholarship and primary source research. So for that reason, it's a very tedious kind of thing because I'm going to original sources to find out what happened as opposed to looking at the work of previous historians. And so it takes, I'm finishing it up in a sense. I'm working on the last chapter. I just started that about a week and a half ago, and it will take anywhere about 5 months, to do a chapter, and working with the Museum of History to publish that. And it will certainly have some information in that about housing and about approaches. Today I got neck deep into a thing called interstate building and savings, that there was actually a loan program for housing done as a stock opportunity, if you will, as an investment opportunity that involved people like Adlai Stevenson. I found that there were 19 different kind of building and loan associations that were trying to help people build houses. And so I think I'll be able to come up with why we do have some higher levels of home ownership than other communities. What I did discover is that in 1890, still 43% of homes were rented. That is that the home ownership was about 60%. Most people were renting. They simply didn't have enough money to actually buy anything.
Awesome. I look forward to it. You know, researching my house, as I'm sure other members here have, I found sort of weird, kind of peculiar things happening. So I'll be looking forward to reading and see if I can kind of piece together why what happened, you know, especially.
Well, I'd be curious about those weird things, because sometimes they're great hints for areas where work needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, I'm on the west side, and I found all sorts of strange things about property ownership, mostly from people like in New York, where owned the property. So investment along the rail lines is what I assumed, but
well, it's not so much that. People were actually buying houses as investments for insurance companies. I was working on one recently. I still haven't located in a place called Poverty Hall, which was a multi-family residence for African Americans, and they were living there by 1872. Can't figure out where it is, but through its entire life as this place, very low rent place. It was owned by Massachusetts Life Insurance Company. And so I think what was going on was that people were acquiring properties and then selling them to insurance companies for real estate portfolios.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it very much. And as I said before, I'm thrilled that you agreed to come back on the commission. But sorry, I will not overlap with you more, because I always learn so much whenever you're around.
I can teach you a lot about the county property, in particular, that beautiful McLean County Museum of History building that you own.
I'm sort of been given the hint that I'll be on the property committee, so I may be in your business more than you'd want. But I'm glad to always learn, glad to learn. So the one thing I'll mention, it's not on the roster here today, but we have Don Peters, who will be coming up to the city, to council for approval to be our replacement for a real estate member, because we have the need to have a real estate, an attorney, and an architect. We do not have an attorney, and I will re-up my request for you to bother all of your attorney friends who might want to participate, because we still lack an attorney, but we at least will have a real estate, a very interested historic woman interested very much in historic properties. So that'll be former president of the Old House Society, wasn't she, or secretary or something? Yeah. So anyway, so next on the list is Caitlin Kelly. Do you want to introduce Caitlin?
Yeah, I've done this a few times and I still don't entirely know what to say, but I'm Caitlin. I'm a recent graduate of the U of I from the Masters of Urban Planning program. Prior to this, I interned with the city of Champaign for a little bit over a year, with emphasis on looking at housing and housing accessibility, and the comprehensive plan update. And my background is in anthropology. I know that's it. I think Katie said something to the effect of she may have mixed up architect and archaeologist, so she's like, oh, perfect. But if you do need somebody who is in the general area of archaeology, I can guess.
I'm a professor of archaeology, so we're double covered.
Perfect, because
don't ask me to dig up anything here locally without help.
And I have a background in cultural anthropology.
Okay, that's what I studied actually, so that's cool.
You're among friends.
Technology, rather than the bones and stuff, it's more like people groups and the mores and why they did the stuff they did and all of that. That's the interesting thing for me. So
I'm glad somebody knows this stuff. I know buildings. I don't know anything about people. So this is extremely helpful for me.
The humans get kind of messy.
yeah,
Don't they though? Oh, yes. Well, welcome, Caitlin.
Welcome,
and
Caitlin.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. And you'll be able to bring some secrets from Bruce, right?
What kind of secrets?
Anything that can help Katie out.
Yeah, maybe.
And we also get to meet Kimberly Smith, the Assistant Economic and Community Development Director.
Hi there, thank you. I'm, just as she said, I'm Kimberly Smith, as the new Assistant Director. I have 25 years, not quite, about 25 years of experience with planning, most recently from the city of Peoria. Before that, I was with the city of Urbana, but just for a very short time. I was with Peoria for most of the time. Also went to U of I, degrees in planning and also business and MBA. Most of my career has been stewarding land use commissions, comprehensive planning, revitalization planning, development processing, the gamut, support for economic development planning, and just general code administration as well. But like I said, historic preservation has always been one of my favorites. So I'm glad to be here and glad to meet you all. And I'm sorry that Ms. Klein won't be able to work too much with you, but I've enjoyed you so far, even with our initial call.
Oh, thank you. Well, as I say, I'm still in the building. So.
All right, right.
well,
on the fourth
unlike
floor.
Elvis.
Yeah, exactly. But on the fourth floor instead. Yeah. Well, welcome so much.
Miss Kimberly, are you living in Bloomington normal now, or are you in Peoria?
I'm literally in the process of moving. So
okay, a new one. We got a newbie. Yeah.
So I'm coming over.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not introducing the agenda item to celebrate me, so you're just going to have to do. You're just going to have to do that one to yourself. Okay? I do wish to acknowledge Ann Bailen's service on the commission as well. She's not on the agenda by accidental omission, but I'd like to appreciate her years of service, 5 years of service on the commission. So
yeah. Is there? I have another new thing that isn't on this, but I would like, it's just a discussion basically that I'd like to open up to try to address something that I've noticed and see what y'all think about it.
Before we get to that, can we just quickly acknowledge Leah and thank her for her service as chair?
Yes.
And you've been on the commission 4 years? Whatever you 5 years? I'm sorry, let me pull it up.
I don't even know.
I don't have it in front of me, but her service as chair and the additional resources she's brought to the commission, we'll miss her knowledge.
Yes, it's been a real pleasure working with you.
Definitely. I'm gonna miss you, Miss Leah.
thank you guys. I got onto this commission because Karen Schmidt told me to. And as everyone knows, you do whatever Karen Schmidt tells you to when she's here. So I appreciated her desire to get people involved, and I just learned so much and got to meet so many people. It's just been, it's much more than I could have ever hoped for, and I just appreciate your patience with me and my fumbling as chair at times, and all the things I've learned. I really appreciate it.
You've done a great job. Thank you.
Yes, you have.
I concur wholeheartedly, and thank you very much, Leah, for your service. You were the one who found me for this commission, and I owe a great debt of gratitude to you in that. It's been a pleasure for me to serve on the commission because you have made it a pleasure. And thank you so much for all that you've done.
Thank you so much, and brave words from our new chair.
Yeah.
Paul is our vice chair, so he'll automatically sit in until you all make further decisions. So we'll see. You may not thank me after that.
I'm so sorry.
Leah, you joined in 2016. That was when you started.
So 4 years.
Okay, thank you. So Sherry, what is it that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I have something I wanted to discuss, to just kind of throw out there. I don't know that we'll be reaching any kind of anything on it tonight, but I just kind of noticed something and I've been thinking about it. And so I'm gonna kind of read what I've written here as a way of introducing it or bringing it up. It's a discussion of the requirement that all repairs funded under the terms of the FUNK grant must be done with prevailing wage unless the structure is owner occupied. This arrangement places owners of buildings who do not live in them at a significant disadvantage if said owners have the skills to do such work themselves. I propose that some adjustment in the requirement be made in such cases in the interest of making the repair process more affordable for such owners. I'm concerned that to not do so will place such a constraint on such owners that they will be unable to continue their stewardship of buildings going forward due to the cost. So I propose that an exemption for people performing their own labor regardless of residency be at least entertained.
So
Well, that sounds like something. Go ahead, Katie.
Sorry, George. I was just going to ask, would you like me to add the FUNK grant guidelines to the next agenda for review? Is
that would be a good thing, I think. Yes.
Okay.
Now, having said that, we are likely to have a hearing on the next meeting. Perhaps we could put that in Jan. Now, you can put as much as you want on the next one, but I think we've got a potential map to discuss.
Right.
We have the S4. I'm just pointing out,
right.
We may not want to stack it if we're going to consider it and give it due consideration. We want to look into.
I agree. I think it could be within the next 3 months. I just want to address it. I'm thinking of one person that I know for sure who owns several buildings, lives in one, has the skills to do this kind of work. And he told me, he said, I am to the point where this may keep me from being able to do this because he rents out the units in his apartments. He does all the maintenance that he can on them himself. But if he had to actually hire someone else to do that work that he's capable of doing, he knows how to do the permits, all the other stuff. You're probably understanding who I'm talking about now. I'm not going to say anybody's name, but I do know very well that he can't keep doing it if this prevailing wage thing is going to kind of shackle him.
So the idea then, Sherry, would be that it is a self-performing rather than
right,
and rather than saying that it's owner occupied, it's self-performing the work.
Right. Well, it owner occupied. He could do it on the building that he lives in, but he's got 4 or 5 other buildings that he has in apartments, and they're all around him. And he's not like, 7 blocks over, and he can see all of these buildings within his actual line of sight where he lives. So he's created an entire situation in his own neighborhood, but he said this prevailing wage thing is really a problem.
So we'll put this on a future agenda. If it's not December, it'll be January. But I do just want to point out that I think the FUNK grant guidelines prohibit compensation for sweat equity. We could pay for materials, but we can't pay somebody to fix their house.
Right. And he understands that. And he said, but he says, I'm afraid they're going to throw out a request for doing something when it's all I would be interested in would be getting the materials, because I could do the work myself, because I won't be won't be paying a prevailing wage. So that's going to just kick it out. And that's what he's afraid of.
So there's there's a gap here. There's a gap between, oh, suddenly I'm starting to do a little bit of work. It's historic, but I can't go and I can't get any money for it because I have to pay somebody to do it. And now this thing is five times more expensive than what I anticipated. No, I certainly understand that, but I agree that it would have to only cover the materials and it would be a self-performing thing. But I think all of this will come up in our next discussion. So perhaps
wanted just coverage for materials. And he said, I would obviously not be asking for, for somebody to pay me to fix my own property. So
I think we can add this to an agenda. I think, staff may also want to look at the city's procurement policy and how this aligns with that too, because we are still working within our own city funding.
Yeah.
Too.
It's this man's job to basically do work on other people's houses, and he does. He gets the permits. He knows how to do all of that business. He knows what code and stuff and all of that stuff. But here he is on his own owned properties, has this problem of not getting any coverage for anything from a grant standpoint, because again, it's the prevailing wage thing that just knocks him out.
Right. Thank you for bringing that. I think in the future, once city has, because there are certain city rules, right? When we kind of get the rules together and the text together, you guys can find a really a way to articulate so that it doesn't prevent people from making progress. Because it sounds as though, that he's concerned about even applying when I'm not entirely certain that he wouldn't be okay if he did. But the text, if the text is prohibitive, it sounds prohibitive, people won't apply. So we need to work on that.
I think he did have something that did come up, and it wasn't allowed. It just before we didn't even get to
us. Okay.
Because it was chucked out, and he's like, what am I supposed to do with it? I'm like, I'm going to try to help you.
Yeah, no, appreciate that, Sherry. Appreciate that.
Okay, thanks.
So anything else?
That's all I had.
Pardon?
I said, and that's all I had.
Oh, good. Well, but it sounds like this will be a productive opportunity to do the same look over the funk grant. Because I'm sure we'll find other mistakes, and I'm sure Mr. Koos will fix it too. I'm sure there's some background information that isn't right, so we can correct ourselves on all measures. Anything else from anybody else?
No.
Well, happy Thanksgiving, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
And Leah, most of all.
And Leah, most of all.
That's right.
It's my birthday Saturday, so I'll take a double whammy.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Oh,
and I'll second that motion.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, we don't have to do a roll call for adjournment, do we? With just four of us?
I think we're okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Have a safe holiday, and welcome again, Greg.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.